نشكر
Our last but not least subject on reports on project performance is really interesting for people like me who are achievers and trying to win and compete even when it comes to a PlayStation game. How to win an international award, the amazing case of SPL. Please put your hands together for Dr. Saadi Adra. Bismillah. 1, 2, 3. Is this working? 1, 2, 3. Not 1, 2, 3. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I'm going to speak today about the case study of Civil, Saudi Post and Logistic Company. We were at Paris in December and in the PMO conference where they announced the PMO Global Alliance winner of the year. And we are very proud to have the winner, a Saudi organization that went through a lot of filtration and assessment until they won. And when I was there, I was intrigued by something very positive they did. Starting from the end in mind, this is what they focused on. Focused on benefits, impact, and done this themselves, which is a true case of successful localization. Successful localization can win you an international award. So I spoke to these nice people, and it was the first time I met them. And I proposed to write a white paper on why they won. And they agreed. We did some interviews, and we started working on the paper. Just yesterday, they agreed on the paper. So we're going to be releasing it probably in a week or so after we do some editing. And here are some of the findings. Of course, Americo Pinto, he's not with us now, but he's in the conference. The president of BPMOGA, he handed them, actually they won several awards, but the most prestigious is the PMO award. And to give authenticity to this paper, I included with me around 9 or 10 international authorities. And I asked them to review the paper and give their feedback. And of course, one of the most important people who read the paper and give his opinion is my brother, Badr Bourshid. So, how did Sybil win? Many people ask the question, what did they do to win? Maybe we can do the same, which is a good way of thinking. So, of course, like all successful organizations in Saudi Arabia, they start from Vision 2030. And they actually map and align to many of the objectives of Vision 2030, and they cascaded under their ministry and then under their own organization and put heavy targets to achieve on their strategy. So now we said, how can we assess Sybil? So this is the question to us. How can we assess them? Well, in PMOGA, they had an assessment mechanism. And the beautiful thing around it is that it included several assessors in an anonymous manner. The different judges don't know each other. So when different judges give a high rank for Sybil from several places in the world, they go up and go up. They won in Saudi, they won in Asia, until they won worldwide. So they deserve it. But we thought, you know, like in any company, you have an accountant who gives you results. But then the financial auditor comes and makes an assessment using different methods, different data sometimes, okay, different calculations. And if they are the same, then he gives you an okay. If they are not the same, we have to investigate. So what we did here, we devised a totally different method of assessment, never done before, to assess why CIBIL won. And this assessment, we utilized 7 standards. The first one by Antonio Nieto Rodriguez, the guy who authored the Harvard book. He's the founder for Strategy Implementation Institute and has something called Strategy Implementation Roadmap. So we decided to assess CIBIL against the Strategy Implementation Roadmap. And one thing which gives really high regard to the results is that CIBIL never knew any of these standards except the ADKAR, the ProSci. So the other 6, they did not know it. So right now, we are assessing them against standards they did not know. So if they pass, this is something really important. The second one, which is one of the most important because we're talking about benefits, it's the UK standard, Managing Benefits by APMG, by my friend Stephen Jenner. And the third one, ADKAR, and we have Ahmad with us, participated on doing the assessment using the licensed ProSci system. And Ross Garland, I know if Ross is here with us today, he's the author for the P3G, also a TSO UK standard, Project Program Portfolio Governance standard, worked with us on this. And we assessed against portfolio management. Also Ricardo had a say, Vargas. Dr. Mustafa Hafizoglu, I think he's here, against the Knowledge Management Institute standard, and myself against the standard that I came up with, which is called the Integrated Lifecycle Management Framework about integration and collaboration. It was the result of my PhD research that I won a PMI Snyder Award on it on 2016 and implemented in 3 large enterprises. So this is the assessment scheme, and these are highlights from the data they provided. Beautiful thing is that in everything they provided, there were measurements, there were numbers. And the numbers is not what did we do, but rather what was the result or the impact at the end. So they spoke about the full cycle. Not only we developed processes as a PMO, but these processes were actually utilized by the organization, and they got the organization to achieve results, benefits, sustainable impact, which got the organization to realize lots of their strategic objectives and move up towards realizing their strategy. And we interviewed 3 very nice professionals from the organization, and the interviews were really thorough. One of them lasted for several hours. And after that, we started the assessment, as I said, on strategy implementation, and the results came out fascinating. In strategy implementation, we have in the cycle crafting, embedding, executing, and sustaining. So these are 4 dimensions over 7 domains: leadership, value, business model, culture, stakeholder, employee, and tracking performance. And they got an amazing 87%. And this is a number we never saw before. So check 1, okay? Do they deserve to win? From a strategy perspective, yes, they do. So let's check the other standard. And of course, we had a beautiful quote after Antonio did a thorough review, and he spoke like poetry on this case and on CIBIL. The following is the Managing Benefits Standard. And Managing Benefits Standard has 5 phases in the practices and 7 domains, like starting with the end in mind, like the culture of value, for example, like integration with performance management. And one thing, welcome America, because you're gonna show back in the end. So one thing which is very important in benefits, and everybody asked about that, how do we measure the benefit? And what KPIs we use to measure the benefit? And how can we discover these? Well, the answer is very, very simple. The KPIs are already there. They are the performance KPIs of the organization. Are you going to achieve what you wanted to achieve? If yes, these are the benefits, okay? You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but you need to integrate this with the performance management. So it's all about integrating strategy, operations, and projects together. And after we did the thorough assessment, these are all what CIBIL did, portions of them, because they have like lots of things they offered. Based on benefit measurable for strategic contribution, quantified consistently, looking for emergent benefit, and so on. Based on the maturity protocol that Stephen proposed, they got an 84%. Again, a number we did not see before. I used to be, and still utilize OPM3, and when we used to work on OPM3 with Claudia Baca, if you know her, usually when we assess an organization, they take like 20%, 25, 35% is wow. So to see these numbers, it's not easy. This is like almost as high as you can get. And then Stephen Jenner reviewed. So the nice thing is that the author started by providing the support and the maturity, and then after we did the work, they reviewed the result and provided their say or opinion on it. You're gonna get all this after a week, after the final production is ready for the white paper, inshallah. And in a month, we're gonna translate it to around 6 languages so far. Thank you, Americo, for taking the lead to translate it into Portuguese and Brazilian. And our team is gonna work on French, Arabic طبعا, and Turkish. So the ProSci model, again, Ahmed worked a lot with us on that, and this came from them, and they had a 4.2, which is again 84%, and these numbers are very high. So to go to the next standard, the P3G, is Ross with us? Not yet, okay? Project Program Portfolio Standard for governance. Again, we did the same, and this time we got a 79%, which is almost 80, really high, but we start to see some places where we can do better. And following, of course, again, the same story, repeated with the quote from Ross afterwards. Then, the portfolio management. And the portfolio management is not defined as a discipline in CIBIL, but they use many of the functions around. Especially, they are customer value centric. It's all about delivery of parcels as quick as possible in a manner that preserves the parcel, and going down from 5 days to 3 days to 2 days to 1 day in certain cases, and they are working on that to improve continuously. And here they took 75%, and I'm sure once they implement the discipline, the numbers will go higher. And also we had Ricardo giving us some feedback on portfolio management. Then the Knowledge Management Institute, which is something which is really a gap. We need to take care of that and to become learning organizations. And we implemented the maturity assessment for the Knowledge Management Institute, and we got a good 71% score. against topics like the knowledge policy, the metrics for assessment, intellectual capital, and so on. And also thanks to Dr. Mustafa Hafizoglu for that. The last one is integration and breaking silo, working together not as different units in the same company, but as an integrated collaborative organization. And in this respect, their score was 68%, still the lowest, but it's not low, okay? Yani something can be done more. Now, out of these, my quote to them was two things. Number one, we always tell the companies we work with, you have to walk the talk. They write things, they don't implement it properly, so we tell them, walk the talk. Here, I told Sybil, you have to talk the walk. Some things you do have, you do practice, but they are not documented properly, although they documented many things, but we are aiming towards 100%, to full perfection. So, what I discovered, there is low-hanging fruit. Their overall score, which I will discuss now, is 78%. From the 7 standards, the low-hanging fruit for them is that by talking the walk, by documenting what they are doing, in a little bit of effort, I believe they can reach the 90%. So they are like always almost there, but we were very tough in our assessment. Of course, the last 10% will take you 10 more years, but here you are like in the Toyota arena, okay? You are number 1, but you can still do better. You start to challenge yourself. And out of that, out of this interesting research we did, which took us around 6 months, by the way, it was really rigorous and took a lot of effort. We discovered 10 factors. So my answer to those who wish to apply and win an international award, number 1, become better. Work on yourself. Yes, you need an assessment to tell you where you are, and then you identify the weaknesses and you come better. So the award is not the important thing. To become better than you yesterday and your tomorrow better than today, this is the most important thing for our organizations. And we discovered 10 factors. Number 1, managing benefits and achieving sustainable impact. You start from there, from benefit. The second thing, drive for strategy implementation that leads to realization. Don't spend too much at just defining the KPIs and looking at the numbers, and everybody does that. The hard thing is to walk the talk, is to work on them. Why do I need in a ministry 200 people who have certification for KPI? I need 10, and let the 190 work on realizing these KPIs, doing the actual work to become better. Transform, number 3, to a service provider for organizational excellence. Every winning PMO is a service provider for their own organization. This is vital. 4, advanced organizational transformation and change management. And I loved the 2 reports that came by PwC and EY because they focused primarily on this thing. And number 5, upgrade to a learning organization. Master knowledge management. This is a big gap. We have to work a lot on this area. 6, break silos, integrate strategy, business units, and the PMO. Without integration, without working as one team, you're not going to achieve the perfection. Okay? Maybe we were raised to compete. If you go to the Far East, they don't succeed as a person. They succeed as a group. But maybe my parent told me, don't teach your colleague, keep it to yourself. It's a cultural thing. And I think we need to work on it. Because to me, in an organization to succeed, you have everybody to succeed. It's not a one-man show. One-man shows do not get you to achieve perfection. And number 7, act as a front runner for cultural evolution. They led the cultural evolution within Civil. 8, fix your governance inside and out. You want to collaborate, you want to act as one team, you have to have governance, else we're going to step on each other's feet. And number 9, focus on delivery and performance on customer value-centric portfolio. The voice of the customer. Whom are we serving? Who are the beneficiaries? Who are the ones who are going to utilize our services? We start from there. And number 10, localize. Engage stakeholders across the life cycle. Your friend, Antonio Nieto Rodriguez, says one thing which is very important. You can outsource the crafting of the strategy, but you cannot outsource the implementation. It has to come from the inside. We have to become better, and we have to be able to succeed on our own. So these are the 10 factors that will get you to win an international award for your PMO. But beware, easier said than done. Lots of hard work. So are you ready to win? You have to climb up the mountain. Lots of hard work. Finally, this is the code. If you like to get the paper, register it, fill it, and I think in a week we'll send you the English. There will be options for other languages. Within a month, you're gonna also receive the translated languages once they are concluded, inshallah. And by this, my timing says 0, so I cannot take questions because we have to start with my friend Amin from IPMA on his keynote. Any other questions? I'm here all day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saadi. I would like to ask you to remain on stage so we give you a recognition. Engineer Thamer, Engineer Abdel Gahtani, and Mr. Yasser, please join us to the stage for a group photo.
Background.
Thank you, our great speaker, and thank you, Dr. Saadi, for concluding reports on project performance. Time has come for our keynote address speaker.